All right, these are my cordless tools. I got a rigid pro press, the rigid sawzall and impact gun and flashlight and drill. These are the tools I use in my jobs. And the pro press is for doing copper piping instead of soldering. We use a pro press. So got to be able to recharge the batteries. So here's how I solved the problem of making sure that the batteries are charged, that you don't forget to plug them in at the shop, and if you do remember to plug them in, you've got to remember to put the batteries on the truck the next day. So here I solved the problem. Okay, got a piece of plywood and mounted the chargers on the back of the cab behind the driver's seat. And I bought a 750 watt inverter from Harbor Freight. This is the Centec. Had some scrap thin aluminum to make the brackets to mount them in there, and ran the cable. We had some laying around the shop. It's a little probably oversized, but it's number 2. Drilled through the floor, ran the cable under the floor and up into the engine compartment. So this is a Dodge Ram with the 6.7 Cummins in it with 2 batteries. So this bracket here is on the truck. So I went to Napa, bought fuse holder and a 100 amp fuse. It might be a little too much for the inverter, but that's what they had. And went to the electric store and bought the proper ends for the terminals that I needed, which are 5/16. And then right from the battery to the fuse, from the fuse and the battery down under the cab, under the floor, came up from the floor, and with the proper ends to the terminals on the inverter. Okay, this is what I use, called the strain relief. It's 1/2 inch size. So I used a uni-bit to drill up through the floor. There's a nut that goes on here that you put it in, tighten the nut there, and then slip the cable through and tighten this outer nut, and that makes it a watertight seal, and this nut doesn't move. This is multi-strand, but it's thick wire. It's hard to bend. Harbor Freight sells 6 foot of the wire that's more like a battery cable. It's very pliable, but the ends are 5/16, and the inverter has 1/4 inch ends. These are the cables that come with the inverter, so you can just clip it on your battery under the hood and then have the inverter work. But that's no good if you're trying to go from job to job charging your batteries. So that's why I chose to do what I did and mount the inverter inside the cab so I can drive and the battery's being charged up. Again, that's how I solved my problem. Now this does have a USB port in here, so you can charge your cell phone or anything with the USB port. And I got the unit on. Fan's not on, it doesn't have to be on, but it comes on when it needs it. But that's how I solved my problem of charging the batteries.